Amid life's rush, can you spare a moment for something gentle? Grab a warm drink and let me share a story. We're about to embark on a journey of love, trust, and tough choices. If you've ever stood at the edge of marriage, wondering if you truly know the person beside you, this tale might make you reflect. Stay until the end, because some lessons come not just from joy, but from pain. Hey, listener, you're about to dive into a story where love meets the hard edges of trust and past wounds. I'm Thomas, 43, a software engineer in Denver, Colorado, shaped by my parents' bitter divorce. 3 years ago, I met Rachel, 38, a vibrant event planner, and we fell hard, our shared values lighting the way to an engagement. Our life together felt like a fresh start, honest, secure until a practical choice stirred doubts. A prenup, meant to protect, would test the trust we'd built, revealing how fragile even the strongest love can be. Let's start where it all began. I grew up watching my parents' marriage implode. Their divorce, when I was 15, was a war screaming fights over money, custody, betrayal. Dad hid debts, mom drained accounts. It left me cautious, determined to build a life free of that chaos. Now, at 43, I'm solid, a well-paid job coding for a fintech firm, a mortgage-free bungalow, no debts. I'm not flash of savings over sports cars, but I'm meticulous with money, a shield against the past. Stability is my North Star, and I thought I'd found someone who shared that compass. Rachel crashed into my life at a community fundraiser 5K for local schools. She was organizing, all energy and warmth, her laugh cutting through the crowd. We bonded over bad coffee and a shared love of hiking, our first date a trek up Mount Falcon. Rachel's 38, a co-founder of a small event planning company with her best friend, Mia. She's outgoing, the spark to my quiet focus, but we clicked on what mattered. Honesty, hard work, building a future. 3 years in, I proposed under a starlit sky in the Rockies, and she said yes, her eyes shining with the same dreams I held. Our relationship was easy, grounded in trust. Rachel's business was growing. Her independence fierce paid her way, never leaned on me financially. We talked openly about goals, travel, maybe kids, a home filled with laughter. My past made me wary, but Rachel's candor disarmed me. She'd share her stress escalating drama, tight budgets, and I'd open up about my parents' mess, how it shaped my need for control. We're a team, she'd say, squeezing my hand, and I believed her. At 43, I'd found my partner, someone who saw my scars and chose me anyway. We moved in together a year ago, blending our lives in my bungalow. Rachel's flare colorful throws, art prints formed my minimalist space, our evenings a mix of her playlists and my cooking. Money was never a fight. We split bills, planned savings, both valuing financial clarity. My house, paid off after years of discipline, was our foundation, a symbol of the security I craved. Rachel respected that, her own hustle mirroring my drive. We were building something real, or so I thought. Wedding plans brought the first ripple. We wanted simply an outdoor ceremony, close friends, a budget we'd split. Over dinner, I brought up a prenup, my tone careful. It's not about doubting us, I said, stirring pasta. It's just my parents' divorce taught me to plan for the worst, even if we hope for the best. It protects what we each bring. Your business, my house. I expected Rachel to nod, her practical side aligning with mine. Instead, her fork paused, eyes narrowing. A prenup. You think we're going to fail? Her voice was sharp, hurt flashing across her face. I fumbled, surprised. No, it's not that. It's like insurance and nobody plans to crash, but you still buckle up. Rachel set her fork down, arms crossed. It feels like you're already planning an exit. We're supposed to be all in. Her reaction threw me. I'd seen us as aligned, our shared value of honesty extending to practical steps like this. But to Rachel, my caution read as distrust, a crack in the future we'd painted. At 43, I'd thought we were on the same page, but her hurt suggested a divide I hadn't seen. The conversation ended unresolved, Rachel quieter than usual, me replaying my words. I wasn't questioning her love me past, not her, drove the prenup. But her reaction stirred my own doubts. Was she hiding something, or was I projecting my parents' failures? Our bungalow, once a haven, felt charged, the prenup a shadow over our plans. I wanted to marry Rachel, to build a life, but I needed security, too. Could we bridge this? Or was trust more fragile than I'd hoped? Listener, Thomas's practical step has shaken Rachel's trust, and their love faces a test. Is a prenup a safeguard or a sign of doubt? Stay with Metha's stories about to dig into the cost of blending love with lessons from the past. Thomas and Rachel's engagement was on shaky ground. His prenup suggestion stirred tension. At 43, a software engineer in Denver, Thomas saw it as a practical shield, shaped by his parents' messy divorce. Rachel, 38, an event planner, took it as a betrayal of trust, her hurt exposing a rift in their shared values. Living together in Thomas's debt-free bungalow, they'd seemed allegedness, independent until the prenup talk revealed cracks. Now, a staggering secret about Rachel's finances would push their love to the brink, forcing Thomas to confront whether trust could survive a lie this big. Rachel's reaction to the prenup wasn't just hurt, it was visceral. "You're planning for divorce before we even start," she snapped the next day, her voice tight over breakfast. "How's that, love?" Thomas, stung, tried to clarify. "It's not about doubting you, Rachel. It's protecting what we've each built: your business, my house. My parents' divorce showed me how fast things can unravel without safeguards." He kept his tone calm, but her eyes flashed. "Safeguards? It feels like you don't trust me." The conversation spiraled, Rachel shutting down, leaving dishes in the sink and retreating to her laptop. Thomas didn't push, hoping she'd come around, but her avoidance grew glaring. Money talks, once open, now felt like minefields. He noticed small red flags, unopened bank letters piling on her desk, a late payment notice she quickly hid. Rachel, usually upfront about her business's ups and downs, deflected when he asked about her finances. "It's fine," she'd say, switching topics. Thomas's software brain, wired for patterns, sensed trouble. His past parents' hidden debts made him hyper-alert. Was Rachel hiding something, or was he paranoid, projecting old wounds onto their love? He couldn't ignore it. One evening, after spotting another overdue bill in the trash, Thomas confronted her. "Rachel, what's going on with these notices? Are you okay financially?" His voice was gentle, but firm. Rachel froze, her face a mix of guilt and defiance. After a long pause, she sighed, eyes dropping. "I didn't want you to know," she admitted. "I have $92,000 in credit card debt." Thomas's heart stopped. "92,000. He echoed, reeling. She nodded, voice small. "It's from before we met. Bad spending. Some business loans, unexpected stuff. I'm handling it." The number was a gut punch, but the secrecy cut deeper. 3 years together, countless talks about their future, and she'd hidden a debt bigger than his annual salary. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, voice shaking. "We're supposed to be partners." Rachel's eyes welled up. "I was ashamed. I thought I could fix it before the wedding. I didn't want you to think less of me." Her vulnerability tugged at him, but the betrayal loomed larger. At 43, Thomas had built his life on transparency, his debt-free home a testament to that. Rachel's lie wasn't just about money, it was a crack in the trust he'd staked his future on. The prenup, once a precaution, now felt urgent. "Rachel," he said, steady but resolute, "we can't get married without a prenup. Not now. I need legal clarity. Your debt stays yours. My assets stay mine. It's not about love. It's about protecting us both." Rachel's face hardened, tears turning to anger. "You're so calculating," she spat. "Love doesn't need contracts. You're making this about money, not us." Her words stung, framing him as cold, materialistic. "It's not just money," he countered. "It's honesty. You hid this for years. How do I trust there's nothing else?" The fight escalated when Rachel's mom, Ellen, got involved. Rachel had confided in her, and Ellen called Thomas, voice dripping with disdain. "You're humiliating my daughter with this prenup nonsense," she said, questioning her worth, shaming our family. Love isn't a business deal. Thomas, stunned, tried to explain his past, the debt scale, but Ellen hung up, leaving him reeling. Now he wasn't just fighting Rachel's hurt. He was the villain in her family's eyes, his caution cast as cruelty. Thomas felt trapped. He loved Rochelle's laugh, her drive, but her secrecy and defensiveness shook him. The $92,000 wasn't the issue. He'd have helped if she'd been upfront. But her lie, her framing his boundaries as betrayal, clashed with his core values: honesty, accountability. At 43, he faced a choice: marry her, debt and all, or demand clarity, risking their future. Rachel's accusation, "You care about money, not love," echoed, but so did his parents' divorce, a warning of what hidden debts could do. Their bungalow, once a haven, was now a battleground. Rachel slept on her side, silent, while Thomas stared at the ceiling, questioning everything. Love had felt like enough, but trust, he realized, was its foundation, and theirs was crumbling. Listener, Thomas's trust is shattered by Rachel's hidden debt, and their values are colliding. Can love survive such a secret? Or is a prenup the only path forward? Stay with Metha's stories about to face the true cost of honesty in love. Thomas's engagement to Rachel was unraveling under the weight of a hidden $92,000 debt she'd kept secret for 3 years. At 43, a software engineer in Denver, Thomas, scarred by his parents' divorce, had proposed a prenup to protect his debt-free home, only to spark Rachel's hurt and defensiveness. Her refusal to address the debt openly, coupled with her family's accusations, deepened the rift. Their once warm bungalow, filled with shared dreams, now housed a clash of value as Thomas's need for transparency versus Rachel's insistence that love shouldn't involve contracts. Facing a future clouded by mistrust, Thomas stood at a crossroads, his heart and principles in conflict. Determined to salvage their love, Thomas tried one last time. Over coffee, he laid out a fair prenup. Rachel's debt would remain hers, his premarital assets like the house would stay his, ensuring clarity for both. "I'm not punishing you," he said, voice steady. "I love you, but we need trust. Let's do this and go to couples counseling to rebuild." Rachel's eyes filled with tears, but her response was sharp. "Counseling, contracts, you're turning our love into a transaction. If you really trusted me, you wouldn't need this." Her rejection stung not just of the prenup, but of any path to transparency. Thomas saw the truth clearly now. The issue wasn't the $92,000. It was Rachel's choice to hide it, to dodge accountability, to frame his boundaries as betrayal. 3 years of openness talks about dreams. Fierce felt like a facade. Her tears pulled at him, but her refusal to meet him halfway echoed his parents' downfall. Secrets, denial, collapse. At 43, he couldn't marry someone who valued emotional pleas over honesty. Love wasn't enough without trust, and Rachel's actions showed she couldn't offer it. The decision was gut-wrenching, but inevitable. "Rachel," he said, voice breaking, "I can't do this. We're done." Her face crumpled, but she didn't argue, just nodded, tears streaming. Canceling the wedding was a blur of pain and logistics. Thomas called family, voice hollow, explaining the breakup. He canceled the venue, caterer, florist, swallowing thousands in lost deposits. Each call, each email, was a reminder of the life they'd planned: hiking trips, cozy nights, no ashes. Rachel moved out within a week, her belongings vanishing from the bungalow, leaving empty shelves and a deafening quiet. The emotional fallout hit hard. Thomas, alone in his house, felt the weight of loss. Rachel's laugh, her playlists, her warmth gone. Nights were the worst, the bed too big, memories of her curled beside him haunting. Friends offered support, but some echoed Rachel's mom, calling him cold, saying, "You threw away love over money." The criticism cut, but Thomas knew it wasn't about the debt, it was about trust, or its absence. At 43, he mourned the future he'd envisioned, yet a quiet relief grew. He protected himself, his home, from a marriage built on sand. Rachel's silence was its own wound. No texts, no calls, just a void where their partnership had been. Thomas heard through a mutual friend she was staying with Mia, her business partner, grappling with her debt alone. He felt a pang of guilt. Could he have helped her? But her secrecy had drawn the line. Her accusation, "You're too calculating," lingered, but he saw it differently. His caution, born of his past, was his strength, not a flaw. Love didn't mean blindness. It meant seeing clearly, even when it hurt. Sitting in his bungalow, Thomas reflected on the lesson carved from pain. Sometimes love, in just giving, he thought, staring at the Rockies through his window. It's knowing when to hold back a piece for yourself. He loved Rachel fully, but her betrayal taught him that trust was non-negotiable. At 43, he faced a future alone but intact, his home still his heart bruised but wiser. He'd rebuild new hikes, new connections, knowing that love, next time, would need to stand on honesty, not just hope. The empty house was a canvas, both heavy and hopeful. Thomas wasn't sure what came next, but he'd chosen himself, not out of selfishness, but survival. The prenup, the debt, the breakup, they were steps to guard his peace, a lesson his parents' divorce had etched deep. Rachel's absence ached, but clarity was his anchor, guiding him toward a life where trust wasn't a gamble. So, listener, thanks for staying. Thomas's love ended to protect his truth, leaving him broken but whole. Would you have walked away like him, or tried to save the relationship despite the lie? When's a time you had to choose yourself over love? Share below when listening, and if you're facing a trust test, remember, love thrives on truth, not secrets. Keep listening. Life's full of choices that shape who we hold close.